There is a question most people are trying to answer. Will this work? Will this go right? What if it doesn't? And beneath all of these is one thing: uncertainty. Not occasionally, but constantly. And yet, we treat uncertainty like a problem, something to fix, something to remove, something we should not feel. But what if uncertainty was never the problem? Welcome to Regulate and Rise with Khyati Adlakha. Most people think I will feel better when things become certain, when the result is clear, when the answer is known, when the outcome is guaranteed. But life doesn't move like that. In fact, uncertainty is not an exception, it is the default. And I remember hearing this recently. Senior journalist Palki Sharma shared something that stayed with me. She said, over time, I've come to realize uncertainty is the default, and something about that didn't create more questions, it created stillness. Not because uncertainty disappeared, but because it was no longer something that needed to be fixed. You can see this in everyday moments: waiting for a response after sending an important message, making a decision and not knowing if it's the right one, starting something new and wondering if it will work. Even small things. Did I say the right thing? What will they think? Not once in a while, but woven into everyday life. When uncertainty feels uncomfortable, people start trying to control everything: overthinking, overplanning, delaying decisions, or the opposite, avoiding situations altogether, because not doing feels safer than not knowing. But the body doesn't ignore this pattern, it absorbs it, and your system feels it, because your body doesn't just respond to what you do, it also responds to what you are constantly bracing for. You can notice it, that subtle restlessness, even when everything is fine, that inability to fully relax, even when nothing is urgent, that constant scanning: what if something goes wrong? Not loud, but always running in the background, as if your system is preparing for something that hasn't even happened. And over time, that becomes your normal. And I've lived this too. There was a time when uncertainty felt heavy, not overwhelming, but always present, wanting clarity before taking a step, wanting assurance before moving forward. And if that wasn't there, there was a hesitation, a pause, a holding back. And over time, I realized I wasn't stuck because things were uncertain. I was stuck because I was waiting for certainty. And that shift changed everything. The problem is not uncertainty, it's our relationship with it. When uncertainty feels unsafe, your system stays on alert, always trying to predict, always trying to prepare, always trying to avoid getting it wrong. And over time, this becomes a pattern, not just in thoughts, but in how you function. And this is something we can actually see. In handwriting, uncertainty doesn't show up as a mistake, it shows up as interruption, where the natural flow is held back, where movement becomes cautious instead of committed, where the hand pauses just before it moves forward, not because the person cannot write, but because the system is used to pausing before trusting the next step. And this is where the work begins. Through graphotherapy, we don't remove uncertainty, we change how the system responds to it. By working on steadiness, flow, continuity, the mind begins to experience I can move even without knowing everything. And over time, people don't feel the same tension around uncertainty anymore. Not because life became certain, but because they became more stable within it. You don't need certainty to move forward. You need the ability to stay steady even when things are unclear. This is something I see very often. People waiting for the right time, the right clarity, the right assurance before they begin. And in that waiting, they hold themselves back for years. If this is something you resonate with, if uncertainty has been something you have been trying to avoid, control, or escape, this is not something you need to keep navigating on your own. Through handwriting analysis and graphotherapy, we begin to understand these patterns and gently shift how you respond to the unknown. So you don't stop moving every time things feel uncertain, because uncertainty was never the obstacle. It was the space you were meant to learn how to stand in. This is how we regulate, and this is how we rise.